Hello, welcome to IG Business and Finance webinar for the month of July. This is a platform which aims to support finance professionals and it is free of charge. Our today's discussion will focus on the basic introduction to data analysis as its application to finance professionals. We will be using Microsoft Excel's pivot table. But before we go into pivot table, let's briefly talk about data analysis, data, and its impact it may have on the finance professions at the introduction levels. Thank you. Good evening. So, welcome back. Like we indicated earlier, our today's focus is to discuss about basic data analysis concept for finance professionals. And towards that, we want to talk about data analysis, and later we will see if we can take an example using pivot table. Then the first thing that will interest, or we will ask ourselves, why is it that we are interested, or we should be interested in data? We have seen that data and data science continues to change the world. We've heard of artificial intelligence, machine learning, robot. These are advanced tools that are based on the availability of data. You often even hear people saying data is the new oil, and these tools will definitely affect the work we do. Additionally, the world's biggest firms today generate their value from data. Look at companies like Amazon, which markets capitalization of over 1 trillion, Google's, Apple, Microsoft. All these firms are using data. And more importantly, for us as finance professionals or employees, we know that the rest of the world, the rest of the employers are also serious about data. Companies are planning or have already started implementing tools using data that will enable them to maximize value, that will enable them to increase their efficiency. That's why finance professionals need to be interested in data and data science. What is data? Often we must have heard this. Data is like a raw fact, statistics, features about an object or a person. So basically, what that means, data on its own is not very meaningful. For instance, an age of a person is a data, address of your customers, the temperature, employees' qualifications. So looking at just the person's age is of no importance, but if you analyze it with something else, then you will see how important it is for your age. What do we do if we want to do a data analysis? I mean, what data analysis is all about? Basically, we take data, analyze it, then we produce information. So if we analyze that person's age, we will notice that it can give us a meaningful information. For instance, take a customer's gender and take the sales. We are able to know our sales by gender. Then from there, we will know our clients are mostly male or female. If we take the age of each and every customer we are able to make sales by age group. Then you know if our customers are young people, whether they are adults or let's even say retirees. That can help decision making in terms of product development because we've learned that the need of the retirees, the adults, the youths, or let's even say the teenagers are very much different in some instances. And even how to attract them through promotions and adverts. These are different groups of customers that you can't treat them in the same way. But without data, you won't be able to take such meaningful decisions. You will probably do a general advert which will not create or attract the customers group you are looking for. So data analysis has that power. What are some of the key steps or common steps in data analysis? The first thing is that you need to set your objective from the beginning before you even analyze data. You have to understand what do you want to achieve. And for finance professionals, this is important that you align with the other business functions, whether it's the CEO or the commercial department, the operations, the factory, or whichever functions you have in your organizations. You need to understand what do you want to achieve as a business. Maybe you want to see sales trend. Maybe you want to know how customers use your product. The data you will collect is different from if you just want to know the sales trend. If you just want to know how your product sales correlate with the inflation, how your product sales correlate with the temperature. Maybe if you are selling umbrella, we definitely know they can be related to temperature, but which age group. So that aim is very important. When you know your aim, you understand that it may not be straightforward sometimes. You collect data. Data can come from different sources. It may probably your internal systems, your economic data from government bureaus. It may be data from your social media profiles where you want to know what kind of customers are following you. It may be data from any other source. And that's why generally data can be structured or unstructured data. But you need to think about that as you set your objective. How do I collect that data? Which source can help me? So you may have to redefine your objective if the data available is not, data I want to collect is not available rather. Clean that data. In some cases, the data you collect may not be structured in a way you want it, may not be clean, may come in a way that cannot be used by your data analysis tool. So again, that data cleaning is important. You understand which field do I need. You don't have to probably keep all the fields. You may download the data from the government website. All you want maybe is the inflation and exchange rate. Maybe you want is the GDP. But that data may come out with 100 other or 20 other items you don't need. So that's what we talk about data cleaning. And it's important there to you decide what information is needed. For instance, if you are doing a predictive analysis tool, not all the things may have an impact based on your understanding of impact on your product or your sales. So cleaning helps that you ensure you are working with the data you need. Analysis, there are various types of analysis. Again, based on the tool you have, there are different data analysis tools. We'll talk about a few of them. But at analysis stage is where you now try to work on the clean data, trying to come out with something. Again, if assuming you are doing a predictive analysis, where you want to take a historical data to predict what may happen in the future, that will be different from a descriptive, which you want to know what has already happened. That may be different from a text analysis. So you need to understand what type of data you have, what do you want to do, and analyze it using the right tool. Interpret what you have analyzed. If you analyze it very well, you'll be able to see some insight which may give you an idea. Again, there are different tools available. Interpretations, data collection, and analysis is something is not that straightforward in some instances. And that's why if you look at in a very complex data analysis, let's say something like artificial intelligence, normally it requires people from different fields to discuss before they can come to conclusions. Somebody may have a knowledge of how to analyze data. Someone may have the commercial knowledge. Somebody may have the economic knowledge, the social knowledge. So these things have to put together before you come to conclusion. So do not rush to come to conclusion to avoid biasness. Do not just dump it. Try to understand, go deeper to understand what is happening before you come to conclusions. Then one of the best ways to present data is through visualizations. They said pictures speaks over 1,000 words, just one picture. So sometimes it's good to analyze data and visualize it. It can be easy for a non-financial person to understand than to give them a full table. These are the common key steps in data analysis. It may look like 5 steps, but each of these steps require much more work. It's as good as you are doing your PhD project. Depends on the kind of project you are doing or the objective. Each of these work may require much input, much other systems to use. But follow these things for every data analysis you are doing. Even if you want to analyze the trend of your sales, you know you want to look at the trend. Where do I collect that data? Can I clean it? Let me analyze it. Let me interpret that data for my manager, and let me visualize it into graphs or so. What are the common data analysis tools We have Excels. I mean, Excel is very powerful. It has a lot of good stuffs that you can analyze. And I believe most of the farms, in particular in our own area in sub-Saharan Africa, will be using Excel than the other tools, the last two, Python and R programming. Power BI is an advanced tool for data visualization where I can do some analysis there too. It's also owned by Microsoft, just like Excel. Python is advanced, is the most common, I believe, is the most common data analysis tool or programming language used by data scientists. And R also is very common, but they are very advanced. They can do a lot of advanced programming. They have a lot of packages in Python. And I can tell you, with little knowledge I know about Python, is a very good tool. But for most finance professionals, starting with Excel and Power BI can go a long way before you even think of moving to the advanced tools. So let's just think about some of the applications of data analysis in finance. It can drive efficiency. Imagine if you can automate your invoice processing using the AI to prepare an invoice. All what you have to probably be doing, let the sales officer input that there is a sales to this client, and the AI simply prepare an invoice and send to the client immediately. Even if you don't have AI, the fact that you can make some automations in Excel where you want to minimize errors. If, put it this way, if you have a sales officer who has to use a Word document, they will go and first take the sales quantity, multiply by the rate, and they put it into the Word document. There could be a mistake when they are typing that rate into the system. But if you are able to automate this, even at the basic Excel, it can go a long way. But again, we are talking about basic data analysis. In the advanced systems, everything about invoice issuing to a client can be automated, even with a follow-up. Predictive analysis, you want to do a forecast of where you will probably be before the end of the year, or in the next 1 month, even in the next 2 months. Predictive analysis can be very helpful when you have enough data. It's a whole area that works with some complex statistics. You can be using the correlations and other functions that are in the statistics world that can help you to do some predictive analysis. But data can do that. Even with the basic Excel, there are tools in Excel that can give you some understanding of predictive analysis using the R square and the others. Data can also help you to understand your existing customers. Assuming you are able to collect much more data from your customers, either from the sales report or from your social media report or from your online tools, you are able to know what type of customers are buying from you. You are able to know which other products are they using along. With the cookies today, you are able to know when they visit your site, where do they move to? Are they moving to a competitor's site? So with data, you are able to understand who your customers are, what is their buying behavior, what kind of patterns they follow. Data also has helped compliances in some instances. People are using data today to analyze. For instance, think about fraud. In some instances, data has helped to even detect fraud. Just as data can help in the field of science to even classify somebody whether they may have cancer or not. In a similar way, with complex data systems, you are able to know or predict whether this transaction is a fraudulent transaction or not. So there you focus on those transactions. New market opportunities. With data, you are able to understand what are some of the new or potential market opportunities for your business. If you are able to collect the right data, you have the right framework of analysis, you can see some potentials. Let's take an example. Your company is making sales across the country. Maybe over the past few years, you have been putting your efforts on, let's say, the one region because you assumed from your own assumption that that's where a lot of customers are. If you are selling petrol and if you are able to collect data of the sales of petrol in your country and realize that 80% of your own company's product happen in one region, but 70% of the national sales happen in different regions. There you are seeing an opportunity. But it is only when you are able to be curious, collect data, and analyze them from that perspective, you will see there is a potential new opportunity. Maybe for the past period, you've been focusing on your advice towards elderly people or adults. But data is showing that 60% of your customers actually are young people. There you can change your promotion strategy because you know the young people's need and the old people are different. You may come with a new product for young people. Only data can help you to do this. And there are many more we can make use of data in finance. Reporting is something out of it. We've seen so many places they have automated their reports. So your focus is to get that data, analyze it, discuss with the businesses to see how best you can improve efficiency, add more value to the company's shareholders and the other stakeholders as well. So overall, our takeaway from this first session is that data is the new oil. Previously, the biggest companies in the world are oil and gas companies. Today, the biggest companies in the world are what? Data-driven companies. Data analysis can drive growth in any company because when you analyze data, you are able to see new market opportunities. You are able to understand what are the things that drives value, that drives sales in your company, and you try to see how best to make use of those tools. But we need to be mindful about data governance and ethics. There are a number of laws around the world that are surrounding how we use customers' data. Because with the advent of big data, we are collecting a lot of data from customers as companies' point of view, and the data have to be kept in the right way, and they have to be used in the right way as well. So you need to be careful of the lot of governance around that in the world. Data science skills can be a differentiator for those who are looking for jobs, even from finance professional point of view. If you are able to understand data, many employers today are looking for someone who is able to take the data they have. The problem is not that data is not available. In some instance, is how do we even capture it? In some instance, people have data, but they don't know how they use it. There are so many companies, they have record of their sales for the past 5 years, 6 years. But imagine we can correlate that data. We can analyze that data along with inflation, exchange rate. We can put that along with the import covers of our country, assuming that you are importing. What's the relationship between the exchange rate and import covers? What's the relationship between the exchange rate and your own sales? These are things you can learn over time. That data science skills, even at the basic level, can be a differentiator for someone looking for job or career growth. One of the most common tools you will see for many of us is Microsoft Excel and Power BI. They are still relevant to most firms. We do not probably have to invest in the advanced data science tools at the early stage. So your strategy will be go back into your company and see what are the type of data available. What can you do to collect those data that are available in a very cheap way and try to put a case of how the company will deliberately put their mind towards using data. And if the company is big enough, you can invest into the powerful tools. But if it's a small company, a medium size, maybe it's good to start with Excel and Power BI. These are tools which Microsoft is expanding now and then, like the Power BI, the Power Query, as well as the Power Pivot. With the combination with Excel, you can do quite a lot from these tools. So without taking much of your time, we'll move to the next session, which is the practical session on basic data analysis using Excel PivotTable. Okay, welcome back. Like we discussed earlier, we want to make a simple use of Microsoft Excel PivotTable. And as discussed, one of the most important thing is to have an objective. Our aim in this second session is to analyze sales trend for top performers. We want to know who are the top performers of this company, maybe from the point of view of the product, of regions, and even the month. So the first thing is you need to have your source of data, and to make it something we need to clean, I've already downloaded a data from one site. This is the data from that site. Like you can see, it's not very clean. It's not easy for anyone to analyze it. But again, there are tools or features in Microsoft Excel that can enable you to clean this. That's what we call cleaning. On its own, you can't do anything with this. It's not clean at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is to select this column. That's where our data is. I will do what we call text to column in Microsoft Excel. You can see text to column here on the data tab. Click on that. It's already visualizing something for me. And I can move on. By default, it picked comma. So it's intelligent that it picked comma for me already. That this data, if there is no comma, it would have been like this. But I know my data is separated. Each column is separated by a comma. So I'm going to move to comma. Not everybody will have this. Sometimes your report may come in a way that is analyzed by Excel straightforward. But this one is a different one. It's a text file. So I can do finish. If I want to format this data here now, I can format here. I'm still clean. This is a date. So I'll bring date here. And from what I can see here, this is going to be it's an American system. So we have year, we have a month, day, and the year. So month, day, and the year. So this has already picked that one. So that's fine. Okay. If I want, I can also move to the next one. There are two dates here. If you want to clean them here, if you want, you can clean them other place. So this is the same thing here, month, day, and year. So I can finish this. When I finish, you can see that it has now given me a much better data here. Let me minimize to see. Again, we have the order ID, the order dates, priority, quantity, everything is here. But based on what I needed, not everything will be needed here. What I want to do, I want to analyze sales. So if I want, I can clean some of these fields here if I don't need them. So for instance, I will remove order ID. For this purpose, I don't need it. I will delete that. What I will also do, order priority, for this purpose, I don't want it. So I'll remove this. These are the things we call clean. You can leave them there if you want. Order quantity, I will need that. Sales, shipping mode, maybe I don't need that. Okay, maybe I will leave that one. Shipping cost, in this case, I don't want it for now. Okay, location wise, all these things are going to be driven by my objective. Customer segment, product category. So product, maybe I will leave the main product category there. Okay. I can remove these ones. I can remove the product container. How do we put them? Shipping date, maybe I don't need that one too. I can remove this. So this is what I need. So I've already cleaned my data. I can format this to come in a way that we are often used to. I'll put into a date format that is easy for anyone to read. Okay, so you can see that everything is here. Now I've got my source data and I've cleaned it. We can now move to the analysis aspect. Okay, we've already discussed at the beginning we are going to use Excel, so we know our analysis tool. We know we even want to use PivotTable, so we know our analysis tool already, so we won't go through all that. So one of the easiest thing I often like is to convert this into a table. I mean, I'll select the whole data and do Control T. That's the fastest way. So I will now name this table into, okay, annual sales. So I'll just hit enter. So this table is now called annual sales. This is very important for those of you who understand Excel. I can do structure reference from this. Now I'll draw a pivot table from this. I'll add another sheet here. Then I'll use that sheet as my analysis. So what I will do, I'll go to insert pivot table. From which table range, remember, is annual sales, just in this sheet here. Okay, now I'll put my order date in the row here. That's how pivot table behaves. Then I will take my sales and put that under the value. So the system is intelligent that it has already summarized it by month. That's Microsoft Excel is intelligent that because I've formatted the date column very well, or else it won't do this for me. Now I can format this fields to show numbers properly with the proper right number formatting. Okay, so this is the sales by month, but this is not probably everything we want. Because it's Microsoft Pivot Table, you can do much more analysis with this. All right, so I can also expand this. I'll just simply copy it. That's one thing I love about Pivot Table. And I'll do the analysis with it. I want to now see by customer segment. I'll bring that under the column. So let's see what's happening there. See, it has now given me sales for each of these segments: consumer, corporate, home office, small business. Maybe I still want to see this thing by product. Let me copy that again, paste it here. If you want, you can do this in different sheets if you want, but I'm doing them in the same sheet. So now I don't want this. I want to see product categories. I'm bringing products here. Now, if you look at give me product sales in each month, let me close this. You can see in each month, you can see product sales for each of these months, right? So yet we are still trying to analyze data in different form. If I want each of these tables, I can do them in a percentage form. I can add percentage to each of them. Okay. Now we can look at this data, but because form of table, we may not be able to get a lot of information from it. Of course, it gives us info, but let's see if we put this thing into a trend format. Assuming now I can use this to draw a pivot chart. I just go out of my pivot table again and draw a pivot chart from this. It's now giving me how it looks like here, but this is a bar chart. If I want to see a trend, since it's a trend, I will use this one. Now see that one. It's showing me a trend here. Okay, we can see from this why is our biggest sales happening. Sales started in January, it dropped in June, and it picked up. This is the highest peak was in November. This is before you interpret, you start investigating more. What made this sales to be very high in June? What made it drop? Is it in line with our trend in the previous year or expectations for this year? What happened in June? Is this normal for our business? What happened in November? Is it that we have done a promotion sometimes in October or September that's impacting December? November, rather, it has come down to in June, in December. So this is where, as a data analyst, as a finance person, you want to ask questions around this. What happened? And there, you may have to sit with a commercial person, somebody who understands the business very well, or you may have to deep into other areas that may have impact depending on your knowledge of the business commercial activities. But this can help you a lot of ways for what has happened in the company. I mean, if you want, you can draw this thing by product. If you want, you can draw this thing by region. Okay, that even remind me, we can also do analyze the sales here by region. All these are one different forms of analysis. So I'm going to paste this thing down here. Okay, for with this in down here, I can now do it by region. So I want to see monthly sales by region. Let me show fields when I close it before. So I'll remove product and I'll put this province here. You can see by region. Each of the regions are here. Okay, this can help us to analyze. You see, they are here. We haven't made any sale in this month. What happened? This is where the power is. Now we can see the information. Nobody is hidden. Every month who is making sales or not. Okay, so let me do a bit of one advanced analysis here. I'm going to add a more sheet. That's the nice about Excel. You can add more sheet and analyze your data there. I'm going to bring this thing there again, but this time around, I want to do something different. Let me put so many analysis in one sheet or in one pivot table. So this is the monthly figures. What I want to do now from these monthly figures, I also want to see, let's say, the quantities. By default, I brought this province here. The province is not quantity, but by default, because it's a text column, Microsoft is going to add it, it's going to count it. So we can see the quantity of sales we are having here as well. Okay, by default, again, I'm going to bring this sales second time, but this time around, I'm going to change that to a percentage form. So you see, there will come percentage of the grand total. Okay, So I add that one. So it's showing me a percentage. So a percentage in a month, we can see this year's with month, we had 10.7% of our sales happens in November. And this is where the questions will come in. Okay, so I can do this still further. Maybe I can look at this from the customer segment point of view. You see that table, I brought it down into different forms. So in this way, I can remove these grand totals there, but I can look at it from the customer point of view. Like, look at what it has done now. Maybe let me change the visualization a bit. Let me bring the customer segment on top. So that you have consumer. This is what happened in consumer. Consumer contributed 20.8% of our sales in this year. Consumer, corporate is 36, and that of the home offices 22, and 19 from small businesses. These are analysis, and this will help you if you want to make any commentary from the interpretation point of view for you to be able to say, okay, why is this? Which business is driving sales? Which sector of customers is driving your sales? Okay, so again, you can do so many things with pivot table. But let me give another one advanced feature called slicer. So what I'm going to do this time around, I'm going to have some bit of dynamic features on the pivot table before I move to more into the visualization or doing a basic dashboard. So with this, what I want to do now, I want to draw, let me do pivot table one more time so that you will see what I was doing. Go to insert, pivot table, annual sales. Remember that was the name we used when we started at the beginning of our table. So now with this, what I want to do, I'll bring the month here again. Then I will bring the product categories here, or the product categories. That's very long. Maybe let me bring the customer segment here. Okay. Let me bring the sales figures there. Let me even bring the order quantity as well. Okay. For each sector is here. Now, let me format this a bit. I want numbers to come in the right way. I'll format this to number. So my numbers here are easy. I'll remove, I'll go and do design so you can learn a bit about design. I'll remove the grand totals off. I don't want to see the grand totals, but if you want to see them, but this is show you how to remove them. Now it's showing me only this. And I will design this. Layouts are various layout form, tabular layouts, okay? And I can also pick some design templates from here based on what I'm seeing. Okay, so you can see various designs here you can pick to make your table bits okay. So this is, for each of them, this is home. I mean, this is consumer, this is corporate, the corporate sales, the corporate quantity, and this is the, I mean, consumer sales and quantity is corporate, this is home, and this is a small business. Now, here is a nice thing. I can do a slicer here. What slicer does, it enables you to have a dynamic table. So if I go back to my Microsoft here and insert slicer, that slicer, I want to do it based on product category. Say, okay, let's see what will happen. You see, something comes here. What this does is that anytime I click on furniture, it's going to show me only furniture numbers. If I click on office supplies, only office supplies numbers. Technology, only technology numbers. So maybe let me reduce sector a bit. Let me remove the customer segment so that we see easily and put our products slicer here. Okay. Let me add, let me add the grand totals now. For those of us who are interested in grand totals, I'll put the grand totals here for row only. So for column only, we've seen the grand total in terms of quantity and in terms of sales here itself. Now, if I want to remove, this is for everybody, it's here. Okay, this is for office suppliers only. If you notice, if I click on any of these names, something happens here. If I want to see two of them, I just hold control, click two, so it is two. There is that. So imagine now if I'm able to put this thing in a graph, pivot chart. Okay, so in that case, let me do sales. Or what I would do here, just come here, I'm going to remove, I'm not going to be interested in the quantity because the quantity will not help me where I want to see my graph. Okay, so what I would do, let me come and remove, they are related. Let me come and remove the other quantity here. This is just to see in different views. So here is your graph. Okay, I remove this, all the products, what happened. Furniture, so I can see furniture contributed a lot to June, so it has come down somewhere in May from 117 to sometimes to an amount like 43. So that means if I'm analyzing, I will now know the reduction in sales in June. Furniture is one of those ones. Office supplies even went up in June. Technology went up. Technology also came down in June a bit. From May of 75 to June of 75, from May of 98. So I now know the two products that have reduction in sales. This is analysis. They are furniture and that of technology. November, if I want to see why November sales went up, let me see, furniture sales went up in November too. Office supplies even went down in November. Technology went up a bit in November. So it's the same product where we've lost, but you can see from June here, it catch up in July for technology. Office supplies, nothing much happened. It came down a bit. Furniture, from June, it didn't catch up in July. It catch up somewhere in August, and it almost went back to the same level in November. This is analysis. And if you are making a commentary, you are able to use this to analyze the nature of your data and know what is happening. Now, the question, the big thing for you to understand what makes this thing to happen, what may be triggering it. Are they one-off, which they look like because the trend is not stable, or are they something that is a seasonal thing, is normal in your sector? So these are some of the things that help along with visualization. You can put these graphs somewhere in dashboard. Dashboard is a whole topic on its own on the visualization. But let's just try to put something here. Dashboard, I can bring this and this in the dashboard. Of course, the dashboard must have a header. You should have some titles on your dashboard. I can bring the other graph there. I've drawn the graph before. Okay, I've removed that one. Okay, it's here. So I can bring this one also into dashboard, which will now give like a summary of the report we are doing. This is not a dashboard session, so I don't want to take much time of talking about all the rules of dashboard, just to give you an idea. And of course, beyond the pivot table, there are other functionalities you can use in Excel that can summarize. For instance, you want to know the top performers in the business. You want to summarize sales per products. We've seen all those things, but it's just some advanced, or let's say basic level of pivot table. And these things will still continue. Can you notice it? It's still here. So if you do this kind of dashboard, it helps a lot. Assuming I remove all these views at the back, I can put a very simple, nice view here. You put a light color that will show it differently. Okay, so this is like a table on its own. That I can connect this, make it close to this, make it look a bit close to each other. So I have a dynamic table now, a dynamic graph. This one, of course, like I said, this is not a graph or dashboard forum, but all your graphs will have a clear label. The charts will have a clear labeling, what they are about. Like this is total sales, these sales per this total sales, but we can also visualize it by product category. If you remove this and these graphs will be the same because they are all now the same. But the aim is for this other one, the manager is supposed to be able to filter to know what is the impact of each of these graphs in each of these product categories. This is just basic data analysis. And again, I said interpretation would depends on what other data you have about this company, which we don't have here, so we can't fully interpret, but we are able to understand, to know which products are causing the deduction in sales in the month of June, and which products also triggered an increase in November. Our work further is to understand what happened, which would require sometimes talking to different business partners. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you for joining us on this month's webinar. Please look out for more webinars from our website, igbusinessandfinance.com. Our aim is to support accounting and finance professionals. And don't forget to also subscribe on our YouTube in order not to miss our future coming webinars. We plan to bring something in August about financial crime and compliances. We are also looking at bringing data science experts to discuss more into how data science and finance can work together. And take care. I hope to see you in our August sessions. Bye-bye.